When it comes to homeschooling, there's many reasons why we might do it. Maybe our child just needs some extra time on things. Maybe they just really can't sit still. Or maybe your child is gifted and is just getting really frustrated at school and is just feeling bored and not challenged. Again, so many good reasons for why we should be homeschooling. But when it comes to our gifted children, I think we'd all agree that we really want them to have the best experience that they can have in their education and to meet them where they're at. And so today, I want to look at homeschooling gifted children. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life, and thank you for watching today. Do you have a gifted child? Or maybe you're wondering if your child is gifted, maybe because they're showing frustration at school, like even at homeschooling. When we have so many questions, it's often good to reach out and be trying to find those answers. So welcome and thank you for watching this video. And for everyone who has been part of this Learning Life community, thank you for your likes and your subscribes. If you're new, hey, don't forget to subscribe. And hey, support Learning Life by sharing with your friends. So, giftedness. One of those terms that seems to have a few sort of like different definitions. What does it mean to be gifted? And I think it can sometimes depend on who you're talking to. We put in words like bright, exceptional, extremely smart. And you know what? Yes, this is all part of it, part of the nuances of giftedness. But we often talk about gifted and talented. Are they the same thing? I really don't think so. I think that there is giftedness that is often defined by a well above average intellect. Usually covers like a greater scope of things. And we can test for intellect. We have our IQ tests, and a lot of times in schools when they're looking at placing a child in a gifted program, they really are looking at intellect. Whereas we have talent, that is often just more in like one area, maybe a talent for sport or a talent for music. And talent can sometimes be subjective in the fact that it's through the eyes of the person observing to see if we have that talent to really how talented they are. And I think as parents, right, we all sort of like look and like that, is my child gifted? Is my child talented? Especially if we have a child that might have like started learning read earlier. Does that mean that they're gifted? It could, but maybe not. Maybe they were just really early to read. And as over the years, we will see them settle into like where they're at. I know that it can be hard to try and work out, gifted, talented, all of that, I'm like the type of person that I'm like, I don't want to like push my girls like in things that maybe they're not, because I think that they're gifted or talented, but I want it to naturally like come out of them. So, when we look at that and we weigh it up, it's always worthwhile to get some input on it, maybe having tests done or maybe getting somebody to really observe and to evaluate. Gifted children characteristics. So there really are like a number of characteristics that we really see when it comes to gifted children. Of course, not all of them are going to be across the board, but it can be very helpful to start with some ideas that will categorize that. So really the number one is that they're going to get bored and restless if they're not challenged. A gifted child in a school where they are not challenged will often become a problem in the classroom. They're bored. And I get it. They don't want to be there because like, what's the point? I know this, I want to move on, but they don't get that opportunity, and they really are motivated to dig deep if they're interested. Again, like, oh, I'm there. I want to be doing that. I'm like, so, oh, I could do this. They're also a rapid learner, a quick learner. They're picking things up quickly and understanding it, not just like learning it quickly, but really like holding on to it, really understanding and can sort of use it in a variety of contexts. And really in that as well, we're going to see that they are understanding and, can master like curriculum, ideas, topics well above their age level, like really several grades above. And this can sometimes be a challenge, especially like emotionally. Are they ready to deal with maybe some of the topics that are covered in grade levels, that are above? But they can do this, they can master it, they can learn. They're creative problem solvers. They have this sophisticated language, and they can be perfectionists. They want to do it right and well because, they have a high value for it. So when we look at gifted children, often start with, are they bored and they're restless and why? And that can give us maybe the opportunity to test them or to find out further information if several of these characteristics are really hitting your child. Why homeschool gifted children? I think that homeschooling gifted children is really an easy thing to do because, really with all of us, when we do homeschool, we want to individualize the education for our child for who they are, how they learn, age, all of that. And if we have a gifted child at home, my goodness, how easy it is to individualize for them, to meet them where they are at. We can extend and challenge and really personalize. Oh, you're interested in that? Right, let's do it. And now let's extend that idea. I want to challenge you in that. We're not just going to learn it, but how can I challenge them? And when we are at home and we have more freedom and flexibility in our homeschooling, this is such a great way to support them. And yes, it helps them, if we can, promote them above grade level. And when we are home and we can supervise, and I said it's helpful in looking at, that's really not where you're at emotionally. Just because a young child can read at a level of those young adult novels, it doesn't mean that they should be. Okay, because there's going to be content in there that emotionally they're not ready for. And when we are homeschooling, we can make sure that we can help them learn at their grade level while also still supporting them and protecting them emotionally from content that they might not be ready for. When to not homeschool gifted children. You know what? It's okay to not homeschool your gifted child. I totally get it. We're not all cut out for homeschooling. You know what? We might not have the right temperament to be homeschooling our child. Personalities can clash, especially if we have someone that wants to be challenged, that could be bored, is that perfectionist. If you are going to clash too much, don't homeschool. It's as easy as that. If you can't be providing the right structure that they need, especially gifted children can, sort of need a good solid structure, it's okay to not homeschool. And if you don't feel that you can meet them where they are at and provide the enrichment and everything that they need, again, totally okay to not homeschool gifted children. You have to do what works for you. If it is going to be a source of frustration and ruin your relationship with your child to be homeschooling them, then don't do it. And if your local school really has an excellent gifted and talented program and you can get your child into it, then do it. This is another great reason to have these programs that your child can be extended in. Now, I will say that if your child is truly operating, across subject levels, several grade levels above, many schools are very hesitant to be promoting children above grades. It takes very exceptional circumstances in order to do this. And I know I've worked with some families as we've tried to skip, a child ahead a grade. And I get with schools and they understand that peer sort of emotional side of it as well. So these are things that we do need to consider if we are going to homeschool or we're not going to homeschool our gifted child. How to homeschool a gifted child. Okay, you've made the decision, we're going to be at home. Well, again, really, there are some very simple and easy things that we can do to be homeschooling them to meet them where they are at. We're going to use a variety of curriculum. Okay, don't just pick one and stick with it. Draw from what they're interested in, draw from where we can challenge them, but also in that curriculum, be willing to skip the unnecessary stuff. Some have this additional, constant repetition to make sure that we master. If your child is showing that they understand and they master it, don't make them constantly repeat. They are only going to get frustrated. Move on, skip the unnecessary stuff. Get more involved in project-based learning. What are they interested in, and how can we make this a project? Because to me, like, a project incorporates so many different aspects, and it's a perfect way to be challenging them and drawing on their interests. We want to provide enrichment opportunities and activities, especially if they can't be getting them in their school. And this is where maybe you could find a mentor in something that they are really interested in, somebody who could be teaching them. Like, if I had a child that was really gifted and was like fully like high levels of physics, I can't do it. But could I find somebody that could help them? Absolutely. And looking maybe, at online classes or college opportunities even that could really enrich your child. You do want to understand their strengths and their weaknesses. Okay, for many gifted children, we see their strengths. Yes, they're reading here, they're understanding here, they're computing here. Yes, we've got it. But there are also going to be some weaknesses. Giftedness is not always fully, completely across the board. And while they might be several grade levels ahead in most subjects, maybe there are some weaknesses. And when we understand that, we can make sure that we're also hitting those and getting our children to fully understand like where they are at. We are helping them to operate in their strengths by as well supporting their weaknesses. Provide opportunities to fail. I know that sounds harsh. I hate failure. I am like in fear of failing anything. Like, what if this isn't good enough? But I also know that in failing, we learn, right? Oh, I can do better next time. So for our gifted children, especially if learning is so quick and easy for them, an opportunity to fail something is such a great tool for them to be like, oh, so this is how I can assess and move on. And also don't forget to find the support that you need. Being a parent of a gifted child has challenges that others don't have. So find an online community, or maybe your local area has like a support group for parents of gifted children. You need support in this, especially if you're homeschooling your gifted child. Now, there are definitely pros and cons, right, to homeschooling gifted children, and you need to weigh them up. As in all things, you need to do what works for you. I think that we find, especially if we're looking at that individualized attention, that there really are some beautiful rewards and benefits for homeschooling gifted children because of that flexibility, because we can use so many different things to really challenge and extend them. And as we look at that, and as if we make that decision and we're bringing them home, I truly feel like the biggest benefit of all is it gives them an opportunity in who they are to shine. And don't we want that as parents for our child to just feel happy in their education instead of thinking, oh, from 5 to 18, I've just got to plug on and do this. But what if they can truly learn, can truly shine and be happy in their education? Well, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being part of this Learning Life community. You know what? Feel free to drop some comments below if you have some or any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. And if you like these videos, a great way to support us is to help us get more of these Learning Life videos out. And you can do that by being a champion, and that is through patreon.com. But also, don't forget to check out my website, learningthis.life.